Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through the industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Steve Walsh. He's an entrepreneur, a venture capital investor. Welcome to the show, Steve.
Thanks a lot, AJ. How you doing?
I'm doing very good, Steve. And it's nice to have you on the show. And we will be talking a lot of good stuff. And we'll be talking about, the 10x leap strategy for, achieving exponential growth. Will be about that. So it will be all about growth, and growth.
Right, exactly. I mean, my book that's built around, growth of the company. I think one of the things we've always seen is that company that is kind of I would say it's a company that its person's really comfortable with what they're doing, but they could really do 10x it to the next level if they just get out of their way. I think the biggest thing is what people really are concerned about is they can never do it as good as them. And so I always say that find somebody that's better than you, that's better than you in that space. I give a good example is a good friend of mine that owns a restaurant. He struggled with this for a long time. He had a sushi restaurant, and he basically was running the show, meaning he was the chef. He was doing all the work. And his mentor he went to his mentor, and he was struggling. He was doing 80-hour a week. He was doing 80 hours a week and just struggling, not seeing his family, not having dinners with his family, and doing things that he shouldn't have been doing, like drinking too much, things like that. His mentor said, find people that are better than you, that
there is audio is not, Steve, your audio is not very clear. Yeah, Steve, audio. No. It was fine till now. Are you getting me? Yeah. Yeah, but it was fine some moments till now, but now it's not clear. No. There is something by mistake you may have pressed or something. How do I? Yeah. No. No, Steve. I think another option is you can use the phone also if there is some issue with the audio. You can use the phone, and we'll be connected. No, just press on that link and you may be able to connect. I cannot hear you. Yes.
How's that?
This is better. You can set it up.
Let me
And
do this.
yeah, I'm removing it. Yes. You see,
How's that work now?
this is better, much better. Audio is clear. We are on,
We're
and
on.
you can remove that. No problem.
Okay.
Okay. And
I don't know what happened there, but you know what?
don't worry. Life is exciting because we never know what happens, and we enjoy.
Exactly. It's like great. It's like, you know, this thing. It's like, hold on a second here.
Right, right. Investing is also like that. You put money into something, almost just kicking off, and then you build it up, help build it up.
Right. It's like, you know, it's one of those things like, okay, this thing is working right, and then all of a sudden it's not. You know.
Right, right. So that is where my next question is going to be. Steve, is in terms of about investing money. Is that you talk about 10x uh, lead strategy about your book and investing. A lot of people, especially the Silicon Valley, say that if you have to fail fast. So as an entrepreneur, and especially for you as a venture capitalist, how would you know when you should put in the money? Because is it after the failing part is over, or is it the initial stage? Help us with that part.
You know, I think the one thing I would say is I look at the people first. It's you kind of determine if it's going to be the people. You got to decide if the people can do it. It's a matter of I don't say it's a matter of if you believe in the company, the people that are there. It's a matter of that, and they can get it done. Then it's a matter of okay, when it's not so much when to put the money in, but do I trust the people I'm going to put the money in with? And I believe that is the biggest thing. You know, they could have a great product, but they could have a really terrible team. And that's they could have so what happens a lot of times is sometimes you have to replace the team, or vice versa. They have a great team, maybe they don't have a great product. Now, here's the thing. A great team can make a product just as good. You know, I believe that it comes down to probably 70% of the team and 30% of the product. And that's the one thing I look at is when I look at companies is, okay, they got a great product, but do they have the team that can do it? And I believe that's a matter of, once they get over that, and usually they get the team in place, typically, that 2 million mark, 2 to 3 million mark is a good point. When they've gotten past the $1 million mark, they've done the struggling, they've done they've been the only person. And now it's they're bringing in team members, they're bringing in systems in place. Those are the things that really make a difference. And then it's marketing. I always say one thing is, that the biggest thing that people really miss out on is the marketing side. That you could have a great product, but your marketing is terrible. And I believe that is the one thing that a lot of entrepreneurs, they have a great product, but they don't have any way to get it out to the world. And, I don't care what it is. If it's a B2B or if it's a B2C, that's the really thing that they have to really think about is who are they going after, and are they going to be able to perform what they've said they're performing to the customer? But that they have to decide who their customer is. There's so many times where I've seen entrepreneurs, they try to do the shotgun approach where they just go after anybody and everybody. And really it comes down to, I always say it's the riches are in the niches. If you can niche down, first and then start from there. Tesla is a good example of that. Tesla or Amazon too. Tesla started with a high-end car first. So their niche was a high-end buyer. Same with Amazon. Amazon was books. They sold books first. And those are the things, if you look at those two companies, they started with niches and then they broaden out from there. But it really comes down to the founder. The founder is the one that you really got to believe in. And if this founder you feel that is able to move the mark, then I'll invest in them. They don't have to have a big team with them, but I believe that it starts with the founder. And once from that, it's a matter of, can they grow a team? Do they have the great culture? The culture is another thing that's super important when it comes to growing a great company. And then capital. The other thing is too, a lot of owners, business owners, entrepreneurs, they're afraid of getting capital. They're afraid, they'd rather just bootstrap it. But there's a lot easier way to do that. You can grow with capital. Instead of being, investors are a partner versus, I believe that's really the thing you have to look at when you're growing a company and you want to bring in outside money. Look for people that are going to be partners, that are going to be able to help you grow the company. I've seen where entrepreneurs, they try to just take any type of investor. And that's not good either, because you want investors that are able to grow with you. Meaning, like, can they bring in people, systems? Have they been through it already themselves? Can they bring in contacts or suppliers? Those are the things. Are they really good at marketing? Those are the things that I look at, is all the things that you look at. Can they do all that? And if they can, that's the type of investor you want. What happens is a lot of times they bring in an investor and the investor's values are completely different than theirs. And that's another red flag. When you have a problem with the investor, where the investor's thinking it's going to be a 2-year turnaround and the entrepreneur is thinking 7 to 10. And that's a disaster waiting to happen. It never makes great relationships. And that, I believe in this day and age, relationships are going to become more and more important. With the AI, the way it is going on right now, I believe that relationships, I don't care if it's customers with your customer or your suppliers, or even more, your employees. I believe that it's a matter of the relationship is going to be more and more important. And actually, I think in some ways, the marketing is going to be a lot easier if you get a handle on that. That's going to be the thing, is people think it's going to be harder to make yourself different. Just become a relationship builder with your customer. And that's where I believe that a lot of entrepreneurs, people think, well, I can just do it online. Well, online, everybody's doing it online. So I would say, do what everybody else isn't doing. And that's probably the biggest thing I look at, is when you're trying to grow a company, do the things that nobody else is doing. And that comes down to, raising some money, getting in front of the customers that you want, the suppliers you need, and bring in the employees that you need. Don't be afraid to spend money. So many times I think entrepreneurs, they bootstrap it. They think that, they can't afford it. They can't afford not to do it. And that's the biggest thing I think is you look at, is when they're looking at growing a company, don't be afraid to spend money on bringing great talent. I believe that great talent will really make a company. And then on top of that, systems in place. Put in systems in place that you can replace some of the work that's been doing, that he or she's been doing. And then bring in capital. And then bring in capital and smart capital. I think that's the biggest thing I look at is when you're growing a company, bring in smart capital.
Right, right, Steve. Now you talked about, that as somebody who a venture capital investor, you look at the founder. What should a founder look at? What is his strength? He should think about his vision. He should think about his product or service. He should look at the team. All these are, then that can change. So what can that's why you look at founder, because that is one thing which will be there for a long time. So
Right.
what should they look at things which is much more not transient but there for permanence.
I think a lot of times founders, typically you have a founder that's a great visionary and they look at the vision, but they also have to have one person too that's an implementer. The visionary is great at he sees the vision. And he can convey that. If he can convey that to his employees and I would say his implementer, the one that implements all the things that he needs to do, that's super important. And that's where it really comes into play when I look at companies. I like to see one founder is the visionary and one's the implementer. And that visionary, he's going to be able to see things that probably so much farther ahead than everybody else. And I think that's one thing that you got to look at is, and then once he sees that, can the implementer implement it? That's the other thing is too, can they do that? And I think it's, so when I look at companies, I like to see one that's a visionary and I like to see somebody that's an implementer so that they two visionaries won't get anything done. You have to have an implementer, two implementers, you won't see a vision. And they'll get too far into the weeds and it just doesn't work that way. So if you can complement each other, it works really well. So that's where when I look at companies, and then from there, it's a matter of like, okay, I see the vision for them and I see what they're trying to do or are doing. They're getting some traction. And then what is it they need? Do they need mentoring? I think it's super important for them to really look at how they are running the business, and can they bring outside mentors to say, hey, we're weak in this area. What do you think? And mentors can really help that too. They can give some great direction. And that's where I come to play, is where a lot of times I would say what I work with is when I'm bringing in capital, but I also bring in the mentorship. I think that's super important. And then I bring in, on top of that, I want to bring in, if they need systems in place, I work on doing stuff like that. I think it's, so I believe that, the visionary and then the implementer, and then on top of that, you'll be able to attract the capital if people believe you. And that's the other thing, is you have to understand that they have to believe you. And that's where salesman comes into play. That's where the marketing comes into play. They may have a great product, but if they don't get that marketing down, it's not going to go anywhere. They may have a product that's better than a competitor, but their competitor is doing everything that they aren't doing. So.
Right. One more thing I wanted to ask was, understand is that vision, as well as, somebody who is wanting to go for the long haul, build something great. And a lot of people build something to sell it off. That's the vision they have got. Which one suits for you? Because then the second one suits you better, because you know that they have that mindset from the very beginning. And the people who have the long-term vision, they will not take your money so easily, because they believe that they will be successful. They have the patience also. So in terms of your business, one thing suits you right, but the other suits you in terms of the long term, better thought of it, the bigger sort of a profit and all. How do you look at this part? How do you tackle it? and get yourself into any of these sort of companies, a mindset?
That it comes down to the start. I think really too is what does the owner, the founder want to do? Is their vision to be a bigger company than what they are? Or are they comfortable where they're at? Sometimes I guess founders maybe don't think big enough. That's the thing I look at is they look at, I think they struggle. They're so far in the weeds a lot of times, they just don't think big enough. And so where that comes into play, that's where I come into play is show them a bigger them, bigger that their company could be potentially bigger. Obviously there's companies out there that they're doing the $1 million, $2 million, and maybe that's as much as they're comfortable with. Maybe that's as much as they want to do, but that's not where I work. I mean, I work with visionaries that want to basically expand their company to a bigger, something bigger than they are. And that really that comes down to is, what do they want? Do they want, what kind of lifestyle do they want? It comes down to that. What are their goals? It comes setting what they want their employees to be like. I think it's a lot to do with what is it they want to do, as a person. Do they want, what's their legacy look like? And I think that people, they a lot of times don't think about that. The goals are important. If you can set some goals, obviously goals change, and your goals will change over time. And so that visionary, maybe they had small goals. Well, I'm there to help them see bigger goals. I'm there to see that, yes, it's possible to do bigger things than that they are doing right now. And that's the thing I look at is, I'll bring in capital, but we're going to grow it a lot bigger than they are now. And I want to see that there's a fair chance that it's going to be a 10x at least. And then it's a matter of, okay, what are the tools we need to bring in? Who are the people we need to bring in? What is it we need to work on? Where are your weak spots? And then go from there.
Right, Steve. So, is this 10x leap strategy, is it for everyone, or is it only for some founders who are interested in that, waiting till that 10x leap game?
It's not for everyone, because everyone doesn't have the same goal. Like I said, the goal is for me to grow the business 10x, and then either sell it, merge it with another company, or buy another company to merge it even more and get it bigger. Not every founder wants to do that. They're comfortable where they're at, and that's fine. But that's not what the 10x is about. The 10x is, a lot of times founders think, well, they can't grow it any bigger than it is, or they're, like I said before, that nobody is as good as them. Well, that get past that mindset. It comes down to mindset usually all the time. It's get past that mindset of you're the only one that can do it. Bring in people that are probably better than you. I think it's I like to see founders that can bring in extremely smart people that are probably more in some ways, maybe in some areas, better than they are. Maybe instead of bringing in one person, you bring in two. The thing is, and don't be afraid of spending the money, because the money will come. You spend it on the right things, it'll come. And I think that's the thing that founders are so worried about, is that, hey, they don't have the money. They don't know the people. That's where I come into play. But the 10x rule, I would say the 10x leap, there's founders that just, they don't want that, and that's great. That's not where I'm going to spend my time. And if they want to do that, they want to, I guess that's that's what I consider a lifestyle business. they can go on trips, they can take, they can do their yearly trip, they can do some of the things, but they're never going to be as big as they should be or could be. And that's the biggest thing you got to look at, is getting past that mindset of, hey, I'm the only one that can do it. That's usually never the fact. And so I look at it as this business, this book, that's why I brought it out. I was seeing a lot of owners doing the same things all the time. And it was a matter of getting out there and saying, hey, there's a better way of doing it. And so this is what I did, is I brought it out. And, because the founders, entrepreneurs especially, they're not afraid of risk. They're not afraid of taking a chance. That's why they're in business. So it's a matter of, okay, now they can take the chance. Just look at themselves at a bigger, better place down the road. They're visionaries. They should be able to see a vision of them being bigger than they are really now. And I think that's the key when it comes down to it. It's that mindset. Start with the mindset, and then from there, it works on all the other things that go along with it. Their business, founders in general, they're great at creating a product. They're not usually that good at marketing the product. I've run across founders that they spend all the money on building a product and have no money to spend it on marketing. So they have no idea. And they're going after all the customers. They're not really going at specific customers. And I think that's super important, that they got to think about their niche. Start with the niche first and then go from there.
Right, right. Now, is that a lot of people, are visionaries? They feel, that more money if I take from investors who I may not be able to gel with, well, they will make my life difficult, and then I will not be able to follow my vision. How would you like to dispel that fear? But the fact is that there are many stories where, after investors come in, the founders are on the edge. Many a times it happens. So, how does that, calibration happen in today's time?
Go back to that again. You just cut out on me, so I
Yeah.
missed what you were talking about.
Yeah, some founders, they feel that they are a bit tentative in accepting money, investor money, feeling that any of this money, they will stop. They will not have that whole capacity again with them to go for the vision. That there will be a lot of outside pressure also along with the money, and they may have to take a different direction away from the vision.
Well, I think that's where it comes down to investors. When you're selecting investors, make sure that they're on the same page as you, that they see your vision, and that the timeline is your timeline and the investor's timeline is the same. It comes down to your values and the investor's values. That's where it comes down to what type of investor you want. And then from there, it's a matter of, do they understand this is more like, instead of a 2-year turnaround, maybe this is going to be a 7-year turnaround. Pressure sometimes is not always bad. I think a lot of times, the founders, if you have outside investors, they potentially could do things that they maybe not have done otherwise. That's the other thing is too, when a founder does a lot of bootstrapping, they sometimes are conservative on what they're going to do because it's their own money. When they use outside money, sometimes they're able to use outside money and actually move a lot faster. There's kind of that idea is that they have this money to spend, and it's a matter of, they want to make sure that they are doing right for the investor, but they also want to take that money and use it for things that need to be done. And so they have their money, they have a cushion, so they can take a little bit more risk with that. Investors understand that not everything's guaranteed. That's the thing is, and quite frankly, you look at investors and you want to look at the investment they're making and seeing if like I said, if it fits their criteria. So,
right, Steve. Now, what are the ways you are looking at now? This whole new businesses, new economy in terms of artificial intelligence, and so many things are coming, which is a bit difficult to look at. How are you looking at uh, companies related to, if any of these? How are you looking at sectors in today's time, or is it the old way, or you have now changed the way you look at companies nowadays?
I work in the green space a lot. I like some of the areas that I worked with: biogas, biochar. I like the green space, software, anything that's associated with software. I think that area is anything to do with recycling, any of the things like that. There's a lot of stuff going on in that space right now. And I believe that, right now, it's a great opportunity for that. And, I'm looking at, you look at AI, I think AI is great. But the thing is, it's a tool. It's like any tool. It's a tool to use for things that need to be done. I think you don't replace it with relationships. I believe, and I think more and more, I believe that in relationships are going to be more important. When we're talking to a customer or talking to an investor or talking to a founder, it's all about relationships. And AI is not going to replace that. That's the thing. A Zoom call is great, but face to face is better yet. That's the thing is, I believe right now is the easiest time to get in front of customers. If you want to do the hard work about getting on and seeing your customers face to face, those are the things that you look at is, can I get on a plane? Can I go see them? Can I see my suppliers? Things like that. Things that people are not doing right now. And I believe that's going to be super important. And it comes down to, too, I look at as employees also. I look at employees. If they want to grow with the company, if they want to move up, probably the easiest time to do it is right now. As long as you go to the office, if we have offices, and stay in front of the people that are making decisions. Those are the things that are super important. So, I go back to AI is, like I said, it's a tool and it's a great tool. And I use it for a lot of things, but it is just a tool. And so now you have to do is build the relationships, build the rapport that you've had with your customers, keeping in front.
Absolutely, Steve. You have put that right, especially focusing on the relationship part. So, are you putting your money only in companies in the US or that part of the world, or in this part of the world that I'm in, towards Asia, India especially?
You're part of the. I'm always looking for new ideas, and your what's going on in your world right now. There's some great opportunities. I think it's the industries that you're starting to see a lot of stuff from your part of the world coming over here and doing really well. And so, especially like in the biochar side, we're starting to see some of the stuff equipment coming over from there to here. And so I would never be afraid of not, I would love to invest in companies over there. And that's, I look at, is there a possibility to do that? I'd be up for it, because I think your economy is growing extremely fast. and it's just going to grow even faster, I believe.
Yeah, we are growing at a very fast rate, and now with this new change in a lot of things, with China having its own difficulties, world wants to disentangle from China, do not want to do everything relate with China, all the things. Some of the things okay, so that thing is there. Plus, India itself is a big, not only in terms of consumption, but also in terms
Yeah.
of more and more manufacturing is happening here. In terms of a lot of people now, it has risen a lot of interest from outside world.
Yeah, India, I think, there's a lot of manufacturing going on over there, and I love manufacturing. I think that's a great place to be. And there's great opportunities over there. Like you said, that your economy is growing faster than China's economy.
No,
There's
no,
a lot
no,
going
not
on.
growing faster than China's economy, but a lot of other economies who have been dealing with China in lot of things now, because of the political system, the way world
Right.
is order is also changing, they are moving away, or we can, as they've been using this word called disentangling from China.
Yeah.
And which are the other places then? India is a prominent place where in terms of the rate of growth, China is going at its own way. But we have our own strengths, and we have a lot of few things to catch up, but a lot of things to find for ourselves.
Yeah, I think so. That your middle class is growing too. You have a middle class that's growing. And I think it's a matter of looking at, if you look at some of the companies right now, especially publicly traded companies that are doing really well, they're all from India, and that's the thing I think is it's just going to get bigger. Your population, you have a big population, and so it makes sense.
Plus democracy.
That's true. Exactly. Yes, that makes a huge difference too.
That is why a lot of the Western world, especially people who have this same sort of a system, they feel much more confident about putting money in
Yeah.
India, in companies, in so many other places. A lot of companies are already there, so that's why I said that. And moreover, with the amount of growth that is expected or is happening, a lot of infrastructure projects are required, a lot of energy projects are required, a lot of green energy projects are required. We are moving towards that sort of a thing, and that is where I asked that if you are looking at this part.
Yeah. In fact, we were looking at a green energy project that was going to go over to India. So, because like you said, energy is important, and the green energy space is really growing fast right now. There's a lot of stuff going on, and hydrogen right now is becoming
Right.
more mainstream. And I think that's going to be something that down the road that people are going to be paying attention to a lot more. And if you look at, countries like yours has a great manufacturing base that can build some of those things.
Absolutely. There is much to learn and understand about investing, about companies, about the world, economy and everything. So a lot of people who would want to understand more about, investing and venture capital. What is the best way for them to connect with you?
Yeah, reach out to me on Steve at bisonequitygroup.com. If you can. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. So, but if you reach out to me, Steve at bisonequitygroup.com. So I have a resource page on there too. Just go to Bison Equity Group /resources. And that would be, if you can want to go to find some resources that are on there. And if also my book, you can go to my website. You can get my book on Amazon, and it's Make the 10X Leap. And that is on Amazon, or you can go to my website, which is bisonequitygroup.com.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live.
Great.
Thank you so much, indeed.
Thanks a lot.
Thank
Bye.
you, Steve.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.